We are going to start. Hello, everyone. It is 9 p.m. and welcome to Debate Commentators. Working title, name not fixed, so don't use that as the reference. My name is Heiko, and I'll be your host for tonight. And tonight we are going to talk to a team that we have been following for the past week. That thousands of debaters across Indonesia have watched as they struggled through the preliminary rounds, as they struggled through the final rounds, beating teams one by one, and finally being crowned as the champions of National Schools Debating Championship 2020. All right, tonight I have with me the wonderful Bonfilio Dazzle, the amazing Jeremiah Lubis, and the stunning Rachel Tan. How are all of you tonight?
Hey, Kak. We're
Hi,
amazing.
Ka.
Feeling
We're
great.
amazing.
Doing
Thank you so
great.
much.
Okay,
Very excited.
thank you so much for having us. I'm excited, as excited as you guys. So I think I just want to start out with how do you guys feel? It's one day, so it's not immediately after you guys won. It's been one day. How have you guys been processing the last day? How does it feel like?
It still feel unreal. I
Oh,
feel like
okay,
I haven't get the hang of it. That like we got the title finally. I think.
okay. Dazzle, how you feeling?
Yeah, I feel the same way. That this is something that I could have only dreamt of in the past,
Okay.
and to finally get that title is something that was shocking, but also it was very fulfilling. Like after a day, it still doesn't feel real, but we're coming to accept it.
Yeah, I think it's the same for me too. Like it's been a long time dream to personally like win NSDC. It's been a dream, and it's been like with a short period of time to like prepare. I think it was just like a great privilege
All
to
right.
have this title.
So you guys. So sorry. Remind me. When were you guys selected? And how many weeks was that before the tournament?
I think it was about 7 weeks ago.
Okay, 7 weeks. All right.
The moment that the um the announcement was up that we were the three best speakers of Decade Jakarta,
Mm-hmm.
we immediately tried to find each other through Instagram. We stalk everybody. We try to find who Dazzle is
Okay.
because basically he's new and
Yeah.
we're like so confused. Especially he's just he just got to
High
10th
school.
grade.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's like I think
amazing.
yeah, that's one of the most amazing stories I've ever heard. I've never heard a 10th grader. Number one, it's not possible in most provinces in the past for a 10th grader to be able to join. So in any other year, you would not have been on this team. And that's not an insult to you. That's just like the facts of how our
No,
system
yeah,
works, right?
precisely.
But second of all, I think the interesting thing is that you knew about NSDC, right? So I'm kind of wondering, Dazzle, specifically you, like, did you know about NSDC from middle school, or did you just like, did your teachers tell you to join immediately when you got into high school?
Yeah. So I think I have to really talk about the conditions of my school actually.
Right.
In middle school, we had a debate club, but it wasn't a really established one. We didn't have any debaters that trained or coached us. It was just English teacher.
Right.
Coming to high school, there is even a debate club. Like I just entered into this new high school as well. So in terms of NSDC, most of my debate sort of training, if you can call it that, was independent. I would look through YouTube videos online, etc. And actually, I stumbled upon WSDC first.
Right.
And I saw Indonesia was there. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. I really want to join this. How can I do that? And I did some searching, and I went and see that there was actually a competition, NSDC. And that was how I found out
Right.
how to join that.
So, but did you know about it in middle school?
No, absolutely not.
Absolutely
It was in the transition between middle school to high school. That was when I first knew about it.
Right.
And when I knew it was going to be online, I was like, this is precisely my luck. This
Okay.
is my opportunity.
But like before this,
Yeah.
did you ever join speech or like any other English competition?
Yeah, I did join a debate competition.
Right.
It was a really small tournament in 8th grade. So in 8th grade, I joined that competition. I got best speaker, even though it was really not one of my best. It was literally just 5-minute speeches. So,
Okay.
but that moment was something that really sort of boosted my confidence to actually continue debating. So yeah, in terms of experience, I don't actually think I have a lot.
Okay.
in terms of competition per se.
Right, all right, that's very interesting. Okay, so but for Jeremy and Rachel, obviously you both know about NSDC. So when did you start having the dream to join NSDC, and yeah, like when did you start this journey to join NSDC?
For me, it was about a year ago.
Okay.
So that's NSDC 2019. I got stuck into the province level. It was a selection between last year's champion, which is Ryan, Rafael, and Gareth, and Dylan, and it was me.
Mm.
And then I had to leave the selection because I had to leave to a Euro for another competition.
Okay.
And so I try again this year.
See. All right. What about Jeremy?
Well, I knew about the competition about in January because I fell last year like won and she told me that oh you should like join this competition and like NSDC.
Mm.
But like actually in previous competitions I like really did like this bad job because I never even broke in any competitions. So
Okay.
really last week our Asians and this week's NSDC was like the two times I ever broke in a competition
Oh,
actually.
wow. Okay. Right. So it means like in all the competitions you broke, you've won them, right? Because you won our Asians just a few weeks. Like that's like literally
Yeah.
last week, right? So you have 100%
Yeah,
win rate. Like
thankfully.
statistically, if you break, you will always win. That is how the statistics go.
Thankfully.
Right. Well,
Yes.
like related to our Asians, right? So you guys just won our Asians as a team, and I think like winning that probably, like you were definitely happy, right? So I want to ask. There's a thing in debate in which when you win a lot, you start to feel that the wins after your first win don't feel as good as your first win, right? So I want to ask in like comparing winning NSDC versus winning our Asians. What is like maybe describe the like is it a different feeling? Do you actually feel less happy winning SDC? What does it feel like? Go ahead, any of you.
How about you, Dazzle? You can.
All right, I'll go first then.
All right.
I definitely think winning NSDC was more memorable. It was more fantastic. Not to say that All Asians was an amazing tournament,
Right.
but really we saw All Asians as the first time we were going to go as a team, and we didn't really know what to expect.
Right.
So in some ways, we didn't expect to win, and when we actually did win, gave us huge amounts of fulfillment.
Right.
But given that our target at the very start was NSDC,
Right.
and to finally win that and to get like good speaker scores in that, I think that was really memorable. Like I can still remember yesterday we were screaming out loud when the announcement came out.
Right. Yeah, I was actually kind of wondering. So I feel like you guys had a really good setup during NSDC. Like you guys had really good lighting. Every time you guys would have live streams, like the lighting would be amazing on your faces. So I was kind of was like maybe I was kind of wondering what kind of setup you guys had. Were you guys like boot camping in one place? Were you guys just like going back from your home to this place? What was the setup for NSDC?
Shall I?
Yeah, go ahead. Rainy.
Okay. So we thought that what's most important in debating is communication, and we feel like through screens we can't do that. It's really hard to communicate what we're missing or the kinds of things that we want to talk about. It's laggy, so the communication sometimes cut off.
Hmm.
So we decided, and our parents decided that we're going to stay in Dazzle's house,
Okay.
and we stayed in different rooms, so everything is safe from COVID and all that. So every morning we'll go to this room. There is a huge table. And the table we set up our laptops, and then there's like direct lighting
Right.
that you'll see in our pictures maybe.
Right.
And all over the place there will be papers and there will be materials that we printed out everywhere, messy. Basically, it was really raw. It was really real also because the setup was just everything is natural. There's no specific lighting that we use.
Mm.
Our teamwork was also natural because the first thing that we did, knowing that we had to represent DKI Jakarta, was we tried to build our chemistry first.
Right.
We talked about what our dreams are, our goal in NSDC. We communicate what kind of things that we want to achieve. So we are on the same page since day one.
Okay.
And I think that's why during practice and during all Asians, that's why even if there's like arguments or those kind of things, we still work together because we know that we have different dreams and we want to make sure that everybody can make their dreams come true and we have to work together for that.
Okay. So you guys talked about like you guys worked on chemistry first. So understanding that you guys have already you're done with NSDC, do you think you guys are going to stay friends?
Definitely.
Okay.
Of course,
Okay.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay,
Definitely.
okay. Yeah, just
Yeah.
checking. All right. So okay. So you guys so as you mentioned also there's sometimes that you had arguments between team members, right? Or maybe you had like NSDC is always a stressful situation. It might be a bit less when it's online because you're not like facing the team directly, but it's still definitely stressful. So I read that some of you brought yoga mats to the place to in order to calm down. Like I was just wondering how each of you were able to deal with these arguments and stress between rounds. How did each of you manage that? Maybe like each of you give like an explanation of how you dealt with the stress between rounds, because I know that NSDC is very stressful.
Jeter,
Yeah, Jerry
You
first.
you might want to start
Yeah,
first.
Jerry may start.
So maybe I would start with like telling one of the most stressful rounds. Yeah. So there was this actual round in around five of our Asians that talked about like COVID-19 international relations and like in the morning, and in that time. The moment we got like opposition, so we had like this 7 minutes of waiting, right? So
Right.
for the first speaker to speak, at that point, like I had to listen to the speaker, right? But Rachel kept on like telling me new materials, and I couldn't even like listen. And I was like so mad at Rachel, kayak Rachel diam, kayak gue mau dengerin gitu kayak I had to listen because probably like that speaker could have brought a new thing
Yeah.
that like was different, and I had to rebut that. Yeah, but in between rounds, I think the way we managed our stress was like after and before every round, we actually like did and like prayed together because like to like relieve the stress in between rounds, and then like yeah, we just like talked about the round and like small disputes. I would see it like, oh, this is like we had to do it because we had to bring the best arguments, so little disputes is not like because I don't like that person or yeah, but it was like because we needed to prepare the best case.
Okay.
So yeah.
Right.
Okay, Rachel's gonna go last. Personally, for me, apart from the prayer thing, after every round, it is very stressful. Particularly, I remember quarterfinals and semifinals were just so stressful. We didn't want to end there. It would be really heartbreaking if we did, and we only sort of escaped through that by split decisions that were really close. So in between rounds, the way at least I did it was I just tried to distract myself. I opened YouTube. I just watched a lot of videos. Each of us sort of
Korean
retreated, sort of retreated to our own spaces and just like did our own thing. And then when the announcement came out, we all came together and just hope for the best. How about you, Rachel?
Basically, as an unemotional person, I almost cry on every single round on the eliminatory round. It's like an accumulation of stress, fear, huge expectations, and just disappointment. Because at those rounds, I feel like I couldn't give out my best, especially in the most important rounds, which is quarters and semi and octofinals. But moreover, I bought a literal yoga mat and some art supplies to anticipate the stress.
Okay.
Uh, Initially, I started painting to relieve stress, and I brought all of my art supplies, especially on semi and grand finals. Uh, what I did was after praying with these people, is that I will just grab some, art supplies and paint something,
Okay.
and like by the end of grand finals, I'm finished with like finished painting,
Oh, hey.
an accumulation of my stress.
Can you show
I
us
feel
the
like
paintings?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, I think the
So-
audience would be interested.
Yeah, so I made this random kind of Gucci or wait, I'm gonna turn off the
Okay.
blurry thing
No worries.
first because
It's
turn
okay.
off. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
so this is like kind of the painting. I don't
Wow.
know what's the idea behind it.
Okay.
I just started I started just painting and doing that.
This
I
was
feel
during
like maybe this
semifinals.
is, yeah, during the eliminatory round
Oh, okay.
because it was really pressing and I kind of panicked
Okay.
and I don't know how to distract myself. Right, these people distract themselves with listening music, and
Okay.
it didn't work for me.
Okay.
And I initially picked this. I feel like this is just like a subconscious idea of what I wanted, which is like I feel like this is probably the trophy that's
Hmm.
highlighted,
Yeah,
and this is
maybe.
like an idea of happiness and like a blurry background. I
Wow.
think I feel
Okay.
like
Very philosophical. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
All
that's
right.
it.
Oh wow. Okay. I think it's the first time I've heard someone painting or finishing a painting during NSDC. So that is an achievement in itself. Yeah, I think so. Okay, NSDC is very stressful. I think there's definitely an added pressure because last year Jakarta won, right? Did you guys feel that pressure? Did you guys feel like there were expectations on you as a team or as a province as a whole?
Yeah, I think that there were certain expectations because, especially Miss Desi, because she accompanied the team last year,
Yep.
because she was also with us. Like, she kept telling us, "Ayo menang ya guys." Kaya, yeah, there was like a pressure, but I think that we didn't really think about that pressure. We just like kept on, okay, let's just do our best. Let's just like take it round by round and then like, do our best. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Anyone else want to give their opinion about that? About pressure? Maybe you felt a different kind of pressure? Nope. Oh, yeah. If you want to go ahead, it's, it's okay, Dazzle. All right.
On pressure, uh, I feel like the pressure is more on how much people around us have sacrificed and worked really hard, especially our parents and our coach, which have spent a lot of time and a lot of capital to for us so that we can be here and they can provide the best for us. Moreover, that Santo and Kaangi were there. They were there to like support us, and like every after round, they will before asking for personal feedback to adjudicators, they will give us their own feedback
Hmm.
first, which is not, which is like um a representation of what the adjudicators were trying to say.
Yep.
So I feel like they were our personal adjudicator. It was like a parallel example will be when you're competing in like a cup, a World Cup, for example, and your coach is there, and they will be there to scream on your face when you're doing something stupid or
Yeah.
something wrong. But when you're doing something really great, they're just there to cheer you up, and that is the pressure that we have to make people around us that we love proud.
Yep.
I feel like.
Right. Okay. I think like okay. So definitely, I think your biggest cheerleaders were definitely Angi and Santo. I bet they're watching right now. So hello to the coaches. Maybe you guys can talk a little bit about how they helped you. I think how did they help you grow, especially in the 7 weeks before the tournament because there wasn't a lot of time. How did Santo and Angi contribute to your growth during that time? Maybe and if you want to share some stories.
Maybe I'll go first
Okay.
because I think talking about apa namanya, growth. I think yeah. So initially in like the first few weeks, we it was like before NUDC, right? So we had like other teams from ITB, Kak Audrina and Kak Fakri, and like some people that came to like help us train.
Right.
But in BP, the case building time was only like 15 minutes, right? So it was different. And there was like this one session actually that was like actually in a bit like late, yang udah kayak cukup malam gitu.
Okay.
And I like when I did a case building with Dazzle, like in Dazzle's house, there was like this very loud sound and I couldn't even concentrate. So it
Okay.
was like a really bad practice. I only managed to give 2 minutes of speech, like because I couldn't think of anything else because it was
Okay.
like about US Taliban or something like that. So,
Okay.
like it was like really stressful, but I think that the way that we grew was because also Santo and Kangi like believed, and like even after like that night, like Santo contacted me and asked like, "Hello, like what happened?" And like Kangi and Santo didn't only care about our progress in debating, but also like cared about our mental condition and health, and like constantly asked about that. So I really like feel grateful for that too. That yeah, like in the first few week and in the first week, like I my speech wasn't really that optimal, but after that few weeks, then it got better and better. So I just like needed a kickstart because at first, like I had to be honest too, I was like very insecure towards Dazzle because he's like a 10th grader and his speech is like wow, it's like already like a really like top notch quality for me. Like I've never seen a whip that's like as great as he is. That's why like I was a bit insecure, so I like needed a kickstart actually.
All
So
right.
yeah.
Yeah, so maybe you have a story? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I think it's clear. I mean, Santo and Kaangi are just amazing coaches in terms of material, in terms of everything, in terms of teaching us how to frame the debate, etc. That goes unsaid, basically. But what I think I really appreciated from both of them was the encouragement and their trust in me, particularly because in the past, in middle school, I've only been trained as a first and second speaker. Oh, no, first speaker and a reply speaker. And the selection of NSDC province was a first speaker selection, right? So I didn't have any sort of whip experience at all. Even though I've watched some whips debate, etc. So like when we came into our first ever practice, I was first speaker, and I did really, at least I thought it was really bad, but I mean, Kaangi and Santo assured me that it was a good start. And then when we finally got our final team arrangement, like, I got a whip, and Santo actually really helped a lot in terms of learning, telling me how to frame the debate, etc., telling me what I have to do as a whip. And I think I just really needed that, especially because it was a very foreign territory for me. So that really helped me through my NSDC journey.
All right. Okay. Yeah. I think another thing I wanted to ask was, so this year's NSDC is obviously online because of the pandemic and everything. Yeah, I think like how did you guys manage with debating online? I mean, maybe for Dazzle it's a bit different because your experience to debate is purely online, right? But I think for Rachel and Jerry, you've obviously had offline debate experience, I assume. And so how do you feel like how did you handle NSDC being online and like did you think it was a good experience overall, like outside of the winning? Or yeah.
Okay, maybe I'll start first. Firstly, um, we're really grateful that this debating is online and there's changes of rules in Putresnas and NSCC in first place. Because without those things, we wouldn't have Dazzle in the first place. Like he's a blessing out of nowhere. He came to Jakarta and like helped us out and carry us out through the debate, especially when like our case is falling down and he's just like there, boom, I'm gonna save you all. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So there's those times when we're like hopeless and he's there to bring everything back together. But moreover, for online debating, I feel like we hate that COVID happened. And we don't like that people die out of it and people get sick. But aside that, I feel like online debating should be continued even after the pandemic. I feel like
Right.
it makes more people everywhere, even outside of Indonesia, have more access to a lot of information, to have access to more competitions, and makes it feel more even diverse. I feel like we meet a lot of interesting people around Indonesia. Maybe we cannot meet face to face,
Yeah.
but we can see that people are more inspired now that they know that they can do it and they have the same access. And I feel like it's really inspiring and it's really empowering for us knowing that there are debaters around us that felt like this online competition has been really a blessing for them.
Okay. Wow.
How about Dazzle or Jerry?
Right. I see. That's legit.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel the same way as Rachel. Firstly, about like the rules, like because personally I didn't knew that Dazzle even existed, right? Because like I've never seen him in any competition, in like any high school competition. Like I had predictions about names that would have been in the team,
Ooh.
but I didn't
Do
know
you want to
that
share
he
those
would have.
names?
No, no. But like I didn't know that he existed, right? But I think about online debating. I think it's something that we should celebrate. Firstly, because we people can have access to better trainings. For example, like people that live in distant areas that are like outside of Java could have access to, for example, better coaches. And for me personally, I think debating offline, like like the type of debating that we are used to, is actually something that's sometimes a bit draining. Like sometimes there's like this weird sounds, like for example when we talk, or like these expressions that we have to see from certain people, and
Okay.
sometimes like that just distracts, and like that just actually like makes the speech not as good as it is when like I can concentrate and focus. So I
Right.
think that for some people that have, for example, or need more time to focus and space to focus, I think this is something that's also great.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think okay, but I think one thing that is missing from NSDC Online is obviously the opportunity to like hang out with debaters from other regions.
Oh
I was
yeah,
just
yeah.
wondering, did you guys have any chance to like make friends during NSDC, or was it just basically you guys and like you don't really talk to anyone else?
I mean, in the Discord channel, there is a socials room, right?
Right.
But I feel like in between rounds, with the like amount of stress that we sort of had, and we're all together and we're just all dealing with that unfortunately there wasn't a lot of time for us to fully interact with people.
Mm.
I mean, we still got to follow each other's socials and we're still DMing each other, and I hope that could be a sort of a start for good friendships to come.
Right.
But again, with the current conditions, it's not something that's um, always so feasible.
Yeah.
But I'm just grateful that there is still that opportunity, and we can still sort of talk to each other even though it's online.
Okay. Right. I was just curious. Okay. So, do I want each of you to go around and tell me your favorite round during NSDC and why was it your favorite round? Let's start. No, I'm gonna start with Rachel. Go ahead.
Oh, I feel like my favorite round was probably the first round actually. Uh, it was really funny because I felt really nervous, but it was one of my best performances, which is kind of weird. Meanwhile, in others, it was okay, but I feel like the first round was special
Mm.
because uh, it was empowering. It gives me more energy to go through the other rounds. Um, apa ya? Uh, it was about sport.
Right.
I feel like you also really like that motion, right?
Right. That's
And we had
okay.
to, yeah, I saw your tweet, yeah, and we had to debate a very unpopular stance, which is we don't want the sport to be really industrialized. Which there's no FIFA, there's no NBA, and all that. It was really crazy for us to do that. Somehow, like we got a blessing, and we're like we know what to say, and our case was strong and it was solid,
Mm.
and um, we won. And
Yeah.
that
Okay.
was
You want all the
yeah.
rounds, so that can I will not accept if Bat Dazzle and Jere come up here and say, oh, I like that round because we won. You won every single round, so there's no reason for you to say, oh, I like it because we won that round. Okay. So all right. Let's. Who wants to go next? Let's do Dazzle. Go ahead.
Yeah, personally, I like rounds where I just sort of feel like
Now you
I
have to choose one.
vibe with
You
the
gotta choose one.
motion.
You have to choose one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Round five. This is where I'm going at. This is round five. I like rounds where I just sort of really vibe with the motion. Like I just really like it.
Okay.
In other motions, like it was IR about Israel, it was about sports. It wasn't my thing. But round five against Kapri was politics and minority identities, and I just really love that. And um, and I feel like our case was also very solid there. And personally, I do feel that my performance was the best there. Like it was just really empowering for me even when I also saw the speaker tab, that was my highest performance, and I was really thankful for that round. And yeah, that's really why I really like that round.
Okay. Jere?
I think for me, I forgot the round, but the motion was about the parent tough love thing. I think it was
Round
like a
three?
really great
Round
motion
three? Or round
to
two?
sound out
Yeah, three.
all the.
Three.
Oh
Yep.
yeah,
Okay.
round three. To sound all the mental drainings that I've experienced in my family, like
Okay.
that, like, and then I got like the stance that was like the opposition, right? So it was like a really perfect moment to
Okay.
talk about tough love in family in Asian families.
Yeah.
All right.
Personally, it was Jere's best though.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
I feel like his
Speaker score
speech
wise.
was so amazing that when I was when I was making my extension and preparing preemptive rebuttals, I was tearing up. Like it was that emotional. Maybe
Oh, okay.
you cannot see his speech now because it's not uploaded and it was
Right.
not live. But I feel like Jere really went out with everything that he felt. I feel like it was therapy for a lot of us, and
Yeah.
especially debating as government team. I feel like so we didn't like opposition, right? We didn't like tough love, and it was a emotional experience. I feel like
Okay.
in that round.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like, just because it's not recorded doesn't mean it wasn't memorable. So you should applaud yourselves for that. Okay. So I think the question. Okay. So here's the thing, right? You guys have won NSDC. Basil, you're still in 10th grade, right? You've already achieved the pinnacle of high school debating. So the easiest question to ask right now is, what's next? What's next for you guys? Like individually, as individuals, what's your aim? Do you want to continue debate? Do you want to try? I don't know. MUN? Hopefully not. But I mean, like, what do you guys want to try? What's next for you guys? You guys to go first.
Okay, should I go?
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
It's funny you mentioned MUN because it's the only club that has something to do with like debating in
Right.
my school. So I kind of just joined that.
You
Yeah,
lose another
but
one.
I feel
Okay.
like I really want to still continue debating, hopefully WSDC, but even if not, just my high school debating with local competitions, that's already fulfilling enough for me.
Okay.
Um, but I think what's next for me is really establishing or maybe like starting a debating club or something like that in my own school, simply because there isn't any already.
Right.
So at least I'm gonna try to make it my aim to sort of spread the joy of debating in
Nice.
my school
Thank
and sort of
you.
continue my high school journey there.
Yeah, you're doing the good work. Okay. Who wants to go next? Yeah.
Jere, you wanna go?
Okay, sure. So for me, I personally think I'm in 12th grade,
Right.
so I think that I would personally refrain myself from debating first because I think the next step is for a varsity debating in the varsity circuit.
Okay.
Like I feel that I have to refrain myself from WSDC because I want to prioritize going to the uni of my, yeah.
Right.
But I think that
Which uni are you going
Rachel.
to? Sorry. Which uni? May I ask?
I am really aiming for UI, but UGM is also open
Okay.
because I want
Thank
to
you
go
for
to
like making a
Hukom.
second choice, but I appreciate
Yeah.
it. But yeah. Okay. Good.
Yes. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So you're not going to try WSDC?
Yeah. I am not like this
Hmm.
morning. I went out Mbak Novel and told like Mbak Kak Novel, I would refrain myself from the
All
selection. So
right.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I see. Rachel.
Um, First and foremost, I want to go forward to stay along with Dazzle together. But secondly, I really want to focus on my juniors in SMN Polo
Okay.
because there's a lot of them, like very interesting debate. Surprisingly, there's like four teams if you want to accumulate everybody. And I feel like this will be one of the way I'm going to make Polo one of the schools that can be able be able to compete with other schools like Smakuan Penabur, Esteban Blapan, Esteban Dua Jakarta and Tangsel to be able to have um, more Polo babies in debating. I feel like, but it's not just me and
Okay.
Clarastan Deja and along with my friends. Um, and varsity debating. I feel like I don't feel like we all were going to, except Jere, will
Uh-huh.
stop debating.
Okay.
I don't feel like I
What uni are
can't
you
do
going to?
that.
Sorry, which uni are you aiming for?
Oh, I have options. First option will be Binos,
Oh, okay.
and
That's
then
okay.
second option will be UI. It's not that I'm going to like make UI second option, but if I can go to UI through SNM, that would be amazing. But if I can't, then I'll go to Binos.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Daz, are you planning to go to any uni right now? You want to tell us your uni
No,
options?
my options are
Oxford,
open.
biochem.
Please.
Okay.
I'm still sort of figuring it out.
Okay. All right. UGM is always open. I'm just saying, but no pressure. Um. Yeah. So I think okay. So you said that like both of you, sorry, Rachel and Dazzle, you both are planning to continue debating. Jerry might not continue to do it for high school. I mean temporarily. But do you guys see yourself doing debating long term? I mean, like not only up to, to college, but coaching, for example, when you graduated. Do you see it as a long term thing, or like right now you're just like, I'll just go with it, or what's your guys' opinion on that? Yeah, that's a
Do you
good.
want to go first? Okay. I'll go. Yeah, I definitely see it as a long-term thing, mostly because um, really started debating not because I was forced to or anything. It was really because I wanted to do this. I mean, at first I didn't know what I was signing up for, but now that I've been exposed to competitions, the euphoria of winning and sort of losing, getting speaker scores and whatever, I do see it as something that I want to be continuing. Maybe even past varsity, but life's uncertain.
Right.
That's what's amazing about it. So
That's true. Wise words from a young kid. All right. Um, yeah. I think yeah. So Rachel and Basil, you both want to go to WSDC. Let's say, knock on wood, amit, COVID is not over, right? Are you guys okay with SDC being held online?
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
You don't want to
I
travel?
don't
You
think.
don't
that's
want
perfect.
to. You don't want to like
Oh,
go.
I would love to.
Oh, okay.
I would love to, but uh, I feel like it's another like what is it called? A gift, an extra gift if you're selected. Like our goal right now is not to win West Visit, which is crazy, but
Hmm.
to be selected first. I think
Okay.
that's the biggest goal right now.
All right.
To be able to create chemistry and to be able to be um, the one that's probably the best for Indonesia schools debating a community to be able
Hmm.
to represent Indonesia, I feel like.
Hmm.
However, if we fail in the worst case scenario and we don't make it towards this year, so what's gonna happen, right?
Hmm.
I don't think it's going to crush us or anything like that because debating is just it's more than competing, especially in worlds. It's more over on inspiring younger people, younger
Okay.
generations.
Right.
If that's too big, I think just my juniors
Okay.
and people around me.
All right.
Because the only reason why debating keeps growing and getting better is because we can inspire other people, like right? Because
Right.
Dazo, Jera, and I are here not because we're forced, but it's because we're inspired by the people that we meet along the way.
All right. Wow.
Like a little shout out for Ka Leon also for coaching me and Jere
Hmm.
from babies, from potato. She was really patient. Now that we're here, I think she was one of the biggest inspiration that uh, I had, at least for Jere too. You can like unmute and agree if you want to, Jer.
Yeah, yeah.
And over there, we meet other amazing educators and debaters, and from that, we learn a lot. I feel like.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. So okay. So you guys mentioned a bit about idols. Maybe all of you want to go around and tell us who going towards NSDC. Who were your personal debate idols? Like who were the gods you were looking up to? Do you want to share? You want to give a shout out to like your debate idols?
Uh, for me, there's like two actually.
Okay.
First is of course Kak Bobby.
All right.
Kayak Kak Bobby Ruitang is like the epitome of my dreams. Kayak wow, it's like Kak Bobby's like the king of debating. Like I
The
just like
queen. Sorry,
feel
not
like
king.
yeah, the queen of debating, like real queen. Because like firstly, his accent in of itself like speaks volumes. Like he speaks like he's not an Indonesian. It's like his accent's just like this person that's really like internationally renowned, but his structure, his strategy, and his manner is also like really great. But I think that the second person that I also like feel is like really great is Kakara, because like Kakara's debating is like also so amazing. It's like
Yeah.
hearing her speeches is like whoa, like I wish to be like her one day. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Dazzle, you want to go?
I'll let Rachel go because
Okay, Rachel, go
Rachel.
first.
Sure, sure. Uh, four. The biggest, I feel like, I don't think he's going to see this, but it's Bosayo. Like,
You never know.
100%.
Hopefully, maybe Bosayo
Yeah,
sees my
I
stream.
hope so. Let's just pray.
I hope you too. Me too.
Most of my speeches and structure, kind of is an accumulation of different kinds of debaters. But like Bosayo was also one of them. Moreover, there's Scott Leon. I think she's more on inspiring me on how much dedication that she puts on debating and her balances. I feel like she is the president of EDS-UE, but she's also coaching me and my friends. She's also coaching her juniors in UE. She's also managing other things, especially in school. But other than that, I also really adore Kakara, like Jere. I feel like she was also one of my main inspiration to be more structured and to be more, what is it, fluent
Right.
in arguing. I feel like. How about Dazzle?
Oh, Dazzle.
Yeah, maybe it's a bit of a disappointing answer. I can't really pinpoint
Okay.
because all my life with debating, at least I've just sort of been exposed to so many people. I
Right.
don't really idolize a certain person. Just like actually knowing them now is amazing to me. Like, because I still remember like looking at Santo's videos in Jovet, for example, and like yeah, and then I finally know him like that. So personally, maybe the first ever was probably Dera Pramana. I really remember one of the first times I wanted to get into debating. Like the first video that came up was Asa UI,
Right.
UI versus UGM,
Yep.
and that was just what started me. So maybe him, maybe Ahmad Kusha. I also look up to him a lot,
Wow. Okay.
but I can't really pinpoint on one person. It's just a combination of a lot of people sort of inspired me to debate.
All right. Okay. So you didn't take anyone's like one person's style to copy. Oh, okay. No.
I don't think taking a person's styles and sort of mimicking them works for me.
Right.
I think I've maybe subconsciously I've taken bits of some people's style and sort of incorporated some people's vocabulary that they always use and try to incorporate it into my own thing. So yeah, I don't really follow one person a lot.
Okay. All right. So one last question before we get into the questions from Instagram, because there were a few. So the question I have last is if you could. So you guys had a perfect run in terms of VPs, right? But there were definitely some times in which you split, very close splits, right? In semis and quarters. If each of you could change one thing about your performance in NSDC, what would you change?
Do you want to start first, Dazzle?
You can go first. Charles.
Okay, sure. Personally, for me, I think just don't be so tense. Don't be so scared of what your opponent might be, what they might say, because really it doesn't matter at all. When you can like destroy them with your own strategy and your wittiness, because I feel like we overthink. Our team at a certain point overthink about too much, and then we forgot the most basic thing about debating, like the logic and the principles. That's important in a lot of debates, I feel like. And what if we have to change? If I have to change one thing about me is to not panic,
Okay.
and in my performance maybe to be less um, tense and scared, because it's not that scary when we do it. How about the others?
Yeah.
Easier to go.
No, Dazzle first.
Okay,
No. Dazzle
okay,
first because
Dazzle,
Jared
you
was the
can go,
last one
Dazzle.
earlier. Dazzle first.
Okay. at least for me, maybe it's something that happens during case building. I feel like in some of the rounds, I wasn't actually helpful enough. That maybe this is how I felt about it. I was being some sort of like negative, like I realized there was some form of roadblock they were facing during case building, and I didn't really do a lot to to solve it. Like I'll just give what I'm talking about. The example was literally semifinals about the cremation thing. That was wild.
Okay.
Like we hit a roadblock, a really horrible roadblock, and I just felt like, oh, none of our arguments are good enough.
Okay.
So I felt that maybe I could have been a bit more helpful in that type of situation, not really dwelling on what we cannot do, but just focusing on what we do have, and that probably would have made the debate a lot more smoother for us.
Right. Okay, Jerry.
Yeah, I think it was like a bit of a combination of like from both of them. Firstly, I think about the opponents. Like we had like people that we fear because wah kayak konteks dia tebal banget, kayak we don't have as much matter as uh, apa other teams probably had in certain rounds. But I think that around it I would redo too is the semifinals because the moment that I saw the motion, it wasn't and intuitive at all. Like I was like, why out of all the issues in this world was cremation the issue? Like I hit like a roadblock. Like I thought that I couldn't even like go to the motion. Like it was like a moment of silence, and I couldn't think of any arguments. But okay, I refrained and thought of it. Okay, there's still a few arguments that I can explore, and yeah, because probably like a more intuitive stance was, for example, to ban cemeteries, but this was like literally negating and literally like alienating any other kinds of like cultural types and
Yep.
cultural, for example, ceremonies. So it wasn't really intuitive to become the government at that motion. Yeah.
Okay.
Can I add something?
Yeah, go ahead.
I feel like our team, in those times when we're like in the middle of like a brink of death and we're so close to losing, we learned how to be in the middle of panicking, but we have to frame and save our case. So it's a hard way
Right.
to learn how to frame really hard that your opponent is irrelevant and insignificant. And it was a crazy extreme feeling because you don't know whether or not your framing worked.
Right.
And that's why every after rounds in eliminatory round, I can assure you, you know what we did was like, usually we talk and we like, we know, you don't have to be so stressed about it because
Right.
prelims, you know, you have so many chances. At least we have more PPs and we can break. In
Right.
LM, is whether you win or you die,
Right.
and that's why after that it was always a moment of silence when we just think about and grieve about what we have done. Like, what did I do that? What did I think of that? And all that. I think it was a hard way to learn, um, to become better. It was painful.
Oh,
I
wow.
think it was a moment of growth that we didn't expect
Yeah.
to get into us, especially
Yeah.
about our mental state and all that. Yeah.
I think it's definitely a debate. For personal experience as well, I think in debate, the way you learn is literally you have to. It's called being baptized by fire. So you just have to do it, and then you're going to fail, but you're not going to succeed if you don't. If you're not ready to crash and burn, you're not going to succeed. So that's why I think it's very. I think it's good. I mean, like I know it's hard, it's painful, but it's the way you learn. Right, we have a few more minutes. We're gonna ask some questions from the people who have asked. I think the first question have appeared is like, how do you have good manners? So all five of you are sorry, all three of you are top 5 speakers, right? So like maybe you guys have tips on how to build good manner. Yeah, no, Dazzle going, Dazzle.
I'll have to say that good manner probably comes from the way you pace your speech. I felt like, personally for me, like my manner wasn't the best in NSDC either, because usually when I get into a debate, I get really fired up. Like I can feel my temperature rising, and it just translates to my manner where I sort of scream at the screen. So in terms of manner, I don't think it really matters if you have an accent or whatever. If you have good vocabulary or whatever, that the first thing you can do is probably control how you speak. Probably pacing, probably in terms of how you calm yourself too, and that translates to good manner. Um, Santo and Kaangi says, keep it with the hands, like try claps your hands or whatever.
Okay.
So yeah, that's all I can really give for manner. I think it comes naturally.
All right. Okay. Rachel, yeah.
Shall I go next?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, from these two, I feel like I had to work harder than these boys. I feel because Dazzle came from international school and Jere was in an international school before he went to Ismanlapan.
Right.
And well, I went to private school. It was not necessarily international or
International.
something like that.
Right.
And what I did, well, it was hard, but it's to not have ego during practice. If there's any term that's weird and confusing, like as simple as what is infatuation, which is kind of complicated, then I would love to ask, knowing that I will probably look stupid for not knowing simple things. But it really helped me, and I always have notes on things that I tend to forget, as simple as value, as simple as um, easy diction. But for gesture, I think we all have. I think Dezel and I still have a pretty hard time controlling our gestures,
Yeah.
especially when we're really angry and fired up in responding um, our opponent. I think Jira still have more. He can hold it more. I feel
All right.
he's the first speaker. He's still more grounded, and Jira and Dazzle and I are more fiery because we know the wrong things that's happening in opponent's side, and we just want to be angry and be really mad to like their case. I think it's more on how you do it. Probably you can see like other debaters that's much more compatible than us in YouTube gesture in terms of gestures, but moreover on our language. I feel like um, I also really have a hard time explaining things. That's why if you see on my life, there's times like bruh, or something like that, and I'm not ashamed of that.
Okay.
I know it's a part of like weird, like a part of learning.
Right.
But what I do is repeat my speech all the time, or I read a transcript of Boso's speech because there's a transcript on the YouTube, and then I read it aloud and try to be as good as possible, or even like reenact Boso in itself. I feel it's harder and it's a lot of work and it's draining uh, my neck and my voice, but that's a huge trade. That's an okay trade off. I feel like for better manners.
Okay.
Get it?
Jerry, you have anything?
I think yeah. Firstly, the pacing of the speech. If you can like go, like yeah, like manage the time and how much substantive you actually have. But also, what I do to enhance vocabulary is like, for example, the word like bad. After that, I go to a thesaurus. Like in practice, after practice, I go to a thesaurus and just like seek for other synonyms and like write it down.
Uh-huh.
Then like or probably reading. I think reading like novels and all that is actually like really helpful to having better vocabulary. Yeah.
Okay. Does it have to be novels or can it be fan fiction?
Oh yeah, yeah. It can be like I actually read fan fictions
Oh,
more
okay, yeah. I had a
because
feeling,
it's
but
like
yeah.
it's like more accessible too.
Okay, all right. All right. Second question. Yeah, well, basically last question, but so there were lot of there were some motions in NSDC that didn't require a lot of matter, but there were also that required a lot of matter, right? That were very matter heavy. Um, I don't know if you guys knew about all of them, but in cases when you're facing matter heavy motions and you don't really know how to, or you don't have the matter, what do you guys do to cope with that?
I think Jerry will be the best person to answer this
Okay.
because round 4, Jerry saved us. So
Um, so yeah, I think in round four, it was like really unintuitive too, right? It was like Muslim countries have to support Israel.
Right.
So what I did was, there were like previous I like the moment that I couldn't think of anything else, like I figured out like who would be the possible actors. Like for example, I make this a small mind map, and like I just like put out who are the actors and like compare it. Like for example, okay, like Muslim countries, for example, maybe need weapons, and then who are the provider of weapons? Oh, for example, Russia and the US. And the US has links to Israel, but probably Russia like doesn't have good quality weapons because their main priorities, for example, to pragmatize their and like capitalize their sales, for example. That's why the qualities are not as going to be as enhanced as the US because they have standard protocols and all that. So I
Right.
just like try to link it back. Like, okay, Middle East, maybe like oil, like just talk something about oil and then like, yeah, come up with it. Because like personally at that round, the second speaker from Bali, which is like Johan, had really like thick context about like history, yeah, of Palestine and Israel. Was
Right.
like talking about the 6 Day War, etc., etc. So yeah, you just like make it out of what you can think about it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. You guys want to add anything, Dazzler or Rachel?
Uh, I feel as a second speaker, when you don't have a certain template, what you have to say, there's no kinds of extension that you have to bring. Especially sometimes I don't have extension just before my speech, and sometimes the extension is just an assertion, and I have to uh, improvise everything during my speech and try to work it out. Is just to understand the framework of the debate
Mm.
first
Yep.
and
Good
learn
advice.
framing as much as possible, like cram as much as framing that you can say.
Right.
And especially in times like that specific time, in the motion of IR that Jere talked about, it was pretty intense because all of the cases that should have been brought by the first opposition team was brought in second speaker,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
I cannot respond to it. It was really frustrating. So I had to support Dazzle and like bring everything that I'm telling you right now.
Okay.
And and he managed to do it regardless of the stress and regardless of how confused he is with the clash and all that. And then I had to wrap it up in a reply speech, making sure that every kinds of mistakes that the opponent made was pointed out and ignore all of our mistakes and like try to frame that we don't have mistakes at all and we did amazing. I feel that was the hardest part.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, especially with emotions of IR, I think just to add, I remember something Kang you told me that amit-amit motionnya kita sama sekali nggak tahu meternya
Yeah.
apaan. We just ask the most basic questions. I think that's what Jerry did. Like, what is the benefit of trading with Israel? Israel emang bagusnya ngapain sih? I think doing that, like matter only helps to enhance sort of the logic that exists in your case. But like if the logic isn't there yet, matter, statistics, whatever, it doesn't really do anything. So yeah, especially with IR, I think knowing the basic facts, like where's Israel, where's Palestine, etc. That's already enough for you to get a starting ground in the debate, I think.
All right. Okay. All right. So that's all the questions from Instagram and the audience. I think we just want to close with. We have a few minutes left. So you guys are now legends, right? Like it or not, you guys are legends in the high school debating community. Dazzle's 10th grade. I mean, like not to say that Jillian and Rachel aren't legends, but I mean, Dazzle, you're in 10th grade and you're the best speaker, and you've only been debating for a few months, so you're literally legend, right? But all of you are definitely going to be looked up by other high schoolers, other debating high schoolers, both currently and in the future, and yeah, you're going to be basically the idol for them. So, what would your advice be to younger debaters who are looking to succeed in NSDC or in high school debating in general? Wanna start? Maybe let's start with Dazzle first, actually.
Yeah. So, see, I'm trying to find a way to make it not sound cliche, but really just don't. I don't want to say don't give up. Yeah, don't give up, because in my case, I didn't have coaches. At least before NSDC province, I didn't have coaches. I didn't have like a debater coach that knew that was experienced, for example, in varsity debating. So what I did personally was try to engage with debate in my own free time. I watch debating on YouTube, for example. Like I sometimes didn't even try to rebut it or whatever. I just watched it and learn manner. There's always something you can learn.
Hmm.
So I think for people who may not have as much exposure to the amazing world debate, but still want to go there, I think with the absence of internet, etc., there's always a way. And if you're willing to do it, you're willing to put into the time to read the news, to watch debate videos. I think you can always be improving your manner, improving your matter and strategy.
Yep. Okay, Jerry.
I think it would be the same. If Dazzle's case of not giving up was because enough, he had not like there were not enough coaches. I think for me it was trying again and again because, yeah, in my school the debating community is also like there is a debating community, but I feel like it is not as developed or like there's like not many people who are invested into it because in my school there's also like other organizations because like one person can hold several organizations, so and like people also want to focus on academic performance. So I think that, yeah, not giving up is also like in forms of trying and willing to try again even if like you did not give the best performance in like certain competitions, for example, to try again. But I think that what would also be beneficial is like watch debate videos that exist on YouTube. There's like so much, and also you can read the news and just try to get yourself more informed.
Okay. Right, Rachel.
Yeah, I think last and for both, as those two have talked about materials and all that, I feel like the most important thing if you want to learn, um, no matter who you are and what kind of person that you are, I feel that you need to be humble and you have to respect anybody because um, that's the only way you want to open up and listen and to improve. Regardless of wrong or right, humble and respect is the most important thing that you need to have in order to be listened as a debater, to be respected. Moreover, it's a huge honor to learn and to be respected by those boys. It's amazing, an experience that's amazing. I feel like these two deserve all of their um, any kinds of titles. Dazzle deserves the first best speaker title for his hard work. Jere deserves his fifth best speaker title and best speaker on finals in All Asians because they gave me a lot of lessons, regardless of how old they are or how annoying or how